My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise-canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Well, I do want to say that we're probably getting down to the finale here and might even just kind of come down to the ears because that is the last part on this horse. So we've kind of got that little bit of work there to do. And I'd say that it's just kind of putting the little time and effort into the piece and doing the project the way it goes. I say there's probably a place where we see in the front how the ears should come out, and I do want to mention that this piece, it kind of didn't get cut right up here at the place where the muzzle or eyes or top of the head is supposed to be, so we kind of work away at that, try to put it together just like it ought to be, and so it's just kind of how that it's just working away just to do what it's going to have to do. And then we come along to where we come to the ears and say that it's just coming right in between. Maybe try to scrape away some wood off to the sides of the little angles to make it a little more triangular like, and try to make it so it's going to be just a good little horsey for us. And sometimes we have to whittle away at things just to make them good, and so we got that little step done there. And for all we know, we work a ways at things and see, of all things, I tell y'all that there comes a time when, you know, I forgot to put this camera down where it was supposed to be when I was carving these ears, but we're going to try to get around to a little sanding now and try to work little ways about this, you know. Trying to do things in a rush, it can kind of make things go not the best way, and so I say that this is just kind of some things where we kind of work a little ways into what we do, and probably say that we're gonna get out some tougher grit sandpaper here, try to get a little extra work done into the little horsey if we can. Let you all see what I'm doing over here, trying to find the right piece of sandpaper to use, and so try to get it in to the video best way we can. But turns out that there's probably certain pieces where one out from, but even from a little angle like this, I think I can do a little sanding of a demonstration here just to kind of work a little ways into things we have here. I say that there's probably going to be a little extra to do along the way, but we might try to fit in as much sanding to this video time as we can. And we got a pretty rough grit, probably not the toughest grit we have, but kind of work along the little horse's ears and head and try to put a little extra faith into all we are doing, just to make it seem like a little work that comes along. I say, you know, I live in the town where Keeneland is, Lexington, Kentucky, and just a few towns up north is Churchill Downs, where they have the Derby every year. And it's where they kind of bring in the horses from all over the world, kind of make it a world event. And so it would be also kind of interesting, of all things, if Louisville ever became the town where they held the Olympics sometime, but probably not the town that would be quite prepared to do it. I know that here in the United States, both Atlanta and Salt Lake City have done that. The time when we work along, make our ways down to a little sanding to go to this, and by the time we are all soon to be done, have a little horse that has all the facets gone right out of it. And oh, I tell y'all that the time when we do a little work now and then, we got little places to take what we do and see how this little time and life and effort is just kind of how we kind of make what we make just to have for a show. And this is probably going to take a little more time to do than I'm ready to imagine just yet, but when it comes down to it, you'll have to use several grits of sandpaper, and one to kind of get the worst of it out, and then once it gets all rough and stuff, there's going to be some lines left over, and you're going to have to use a softer grit to kind of get the rest of it out. Told you not too long ago about Ray Durham, who recently passed, and of all things that happened here and there, I say that even before I met him and started carving, I had already kind of knew from my experience with doing scroll saw work how you kind of had to start out with a rough grit of sandpaper to get the worst of everything out, and use finer grits of sandpaper to smooth it down after getting the worst of it out with the rough grit. And that was where I kind of learned from him that when you carve, it's also just something that's essential to getting all the lines out of things, because there's one of these little strange things that happened when I first started carving. Carved a spoon out of cherry and was using some rough sandpaper to try to sand it, but kept putting so much force on it with my right hand that it kept on flying up out of my left hand, and which I was holding it with to sand it. And one day he kind of said a little funny thing. He said, "If you don't want it, why do you keep picking it up?" So I say that we're working our way along, make things so they're kind of making the little debt-free work to kind of show how life can be when we get a few good things done here and there. I say that there's probably just even a piece or two that may not still be in the best shape, but still have a little coarseness in it that we can use to get out as much lines as we need to in this. And I say that it's just kind of like how this little work is just finding its way all the way down back to us, and finer work shall make its way, do little things that shine in and kind of come down to where we will just see a little sand and time come down to the horse's mouth. Makes me think from when I was a kid about that old Lotto commercial where that horse moved its mouth and they had a little talking in the background, making the horse talk and saying, "Take it from the horse's mouth." It was almost like it kind of how it was with Mr. Ed as a show back in its days, where they had that horse to kind of move its mouth as a prop, and then they have special tricks to do that, but get somebody in to talk in the background and play a little voice for it and almost make it sound like it's talking. Think about how when I was in the first grade, we watched that old Mary Poppins movie in class, and there was a scene where a little animated cartoon horse talked, and other kids in the class were saying, "Mr. Ed, Mr. Ed." That wasn't Mr. Ed in the Mary Poppins movie, but that was sure a talking horse, if nothing else. And then I tell y'all that there were times when I came across these little memes about horses, and they showed you the little place where that horsey who played Mr. Ed was buried, and there was a little picture to show it, so screenshotted the post and shared it with friends just to be kind of showing them a neat little landmark or a neat little historical fact, and then kind of taking it here and there and then showing the little work we do to make a little horse, of course. No one can talk to a horse, of course, unless the horse is the horse of same with Mr. Ed. And we've come along, gotten down with the rough grit. I think I'm going to take a little sip of water here. I think this could be the little finale to the series, but we'll go back to this grid again, kind of get more of the lines out with that, try to take care of what we have and what we need. I will tell y'all, in my town, Lexington, Kentucky, there is a little road called Man of War that goes all the way around town. It was named after a certain horse, and people here in Lexington can tell you that Man of War is a pretty busy road, and some of my relatives from North Carolina who have been here to Lexington could tell you all about that too. They've driven on it and know from their experiences how busy a road it can get to be, and even the old story about how one time I was in the middle of Man of War on a Saturday and my car died in the middle of the road in the middle of the day, and cop had to come over to kind of get it out of the way so we could keep the traffic going, and we finally got a little bit things getting better there, and it was just a little trouble, but we managed it. We got it right to the shop where it needed to be and got it out of the road, got it towed away, got us to where the traffic could move once again, and even had to keep the little four-way flashers on because I tell y'all that it just had to be a little sign of an emergency there, just to show where we were. I get down to a 1 step lighter grit when I come down to this little horsey. Make it so we see a little come along, make our way about it. I say that this is just where a little good amount of sanding comes in, and just to try to make it so we're going to see a little bright image and come along. I say that there's videos that still have yet to be shared to Facebook, and the last one I uploaded still does. It's probably by the time you see this one, both of these are going to be shared there. So we got little time and work in our hands. We make the best of what we have, make the best of what we do, and that's kind of what I read a meme that once said, is that happiest people don't have everything. They make the best of everything, make the best of what they have. Sometimes that can be a struggle when people don't leave you alone. There can be times when people can judge you because you don't have more than you want, because you don't have what they want you to have. And that gets to be a little bit of a confusing matter. And now we're down to what I would say is probably the lightest grit that we're going to use. This shall be the finale to the horse series. It turned out to only have to be 3 videos long, and finally getting down to where we make our final point in doing everything we do. This other one that I carved today in the guild meeting, still have yet to sand that one. So there's going to be a little more sanding to come along that we do when it comes down to the work. And I'd say that hopefully we can get this done. And I'll tell y'all a little story today about how I purchased those Jonathan's Nature Crafts tags off of Vistaprint, and how, you know, I kind of used the last ones up, making certain things. There were other items I had that those big tags were not necessary for, so I just put little sticker tags on those, or little regular old white price tags that come with their own little strings. But when it came down to making these little things, I say that used up the last ones, but got more coming in the mail. And for horses like these, they're just a bigger piece, so they require a bigger tag like that. It makes it easier for it to stay on when you can tie it from the string that you also purchase from Vistaprint. And then I say that this is just what we come down to having, and then make it so we all see what it's going to be. All ground up, sanded up, grinded up, and smooth. I tell y'all. And when it comes down to it, I'll tell y'all that this was actually more like a pattern for a Swedish doll horse in the book it came out of. Sometime in the future I might consider maybe painting some detail into some of these, but right now we're kind of doing the best we can, just kind of making them out of the wood and doing the little details we do in them. There's probably things I might have demonstrated the last time I did one of these, where we took a little rotary tool and put in little places for the eyes and the nostrils. Don't think we're going to demonstrate that on this video, because it would kind of, you know, take some time to do. But I'd say that we're going to probably show a little something here as to how we make the little dotted lines where we're going to put the things. Here's where we make the line for the eye, and likewise do the same for the other side. here's where we're going to do the little things for the little nostrils, and we've kind of got each little thing has its own bit on the rotary tool that we use for it. And I say that it's going to come down to where we're going to finish a project and make it so it's going to be as good as it can be, and so we sand things down, make things out to the best they can be. And so I say sometimes, you know, a little racehorse might come next. And try not to make this video too long, kind of need to keep it short. So I just want to say thank you all for coming on, and hope to keep up with you all in the future. May you always take care. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.